Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chandavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Chandavallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhva Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Radha Govinda Madhava ki jai, Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Naruttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Todhyayutiraya. For reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our beloved spiritual master. There is no book. Thanks, Ron. So, is it 31?
Yes.
Okay. I've been advised to just read the verse and not get everyone to repeat it because it's too lengthy. So I'll say it a couple of times and then the English, maybe we can repeat the English. Evam dasthanyas usati kurute mehanadini vastau steyo paya virachita kriti supratiko yataste itang strivi sa paya nayana sri mukalu kinibir vyakyatatata prahasita mukhi na hiupalabdam I chat. I think I'll just say it once. Pretty complex. I won't do the word for word. When Krishna is caught in his naughty activities, the master of the house will say to him, "Oh, you are a thief," and artificially express anger at Krishna. Krishna will then reply, "I'm not a thief, you're a thief." Sometimes, being angry, Krishna passes urine and stool in a neat, clean place in our houses. But now, our dear friend Yashoda, this expert thief, is sitting before you like a very good boy. Sometimes all the gopis would look at Krishna sitting there, his eyes fearful, so that his mother would not chastise him. And when they saw Krishna's beautiful face, instead of chastising him, they would simply look upon his face and enjoy transcendental bliss. Mother Yashoda would mildly smile at all this fun, and she would not want to chastise her blessed transcendental child. Okay, so I'll move on to the purport. It's quite hungry. Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Not by Srila Prabhupada. Is it?
But it is, isn't it? Chapter 8. Yeah. Krishna's business in the neighborhood was not only to steal, but sometimes to pass stool and urine in a neat, clean house. When caught by the master of the house, Krishna would chastise him, saying, "You are a thief." Aside from being a thief in his childhood affairs, Krishna acted as an expert thief when he was young, by attracting young girls and enjoying them in the rasa dance. This is Krishna's business. He is also violent as the killer of many demons. Although mundane people like non-violence and other such brilliant qualities, God, the absolute truth, being always the same, is good in any activities, even so-called immoral activities like stealing, killing, and violence. Krishna is always pure, and he is always the supreme absolute truth. Krishna may do anything supposedly abominable in material life, yet still he is attractive. Therefore his name is Krishna, meaning all attractive. This is the platform on which transcendental loving affairs and service are exchanged. Because of the features of Krishna's face, the mothers were so attracted that they could not chastise him. Instead of chastising him, they smiled and enjoyed hearing of Krishna's activities. Thus the gopis remained satisfied, and Krishna enjoyed their happiness. Therefore, another name of Krishna is Gopijana Vallabha, because he invented such activities to please the gopis. Hare Krishna. Everyone's good with English? There's not an interpreter. It's all good? Okay. That's how fast I should speak. So thank you for having me here today, asking me to give class, although I'm hardly qualified, especially to speak on this section of the Bhagavatam, Canto 10, which, Srila Prabhupada said we can't even approach until we have gone systematically through the first 9 cantos and assimilated it, actually. I mean, not just read the words on page, but assimilated that knowledge. In fact, I think he says that by the time you reach 10th canto, you should be God realized, effectively, and at least, I understood that to mean at least Brahma Bhuta off the bodily platform and ready for some serious bhakti, bhaktim labhate param. Because then you can begin to understand what this is all about. Because if we're not on that level of transcendence, we'll just take this in a mundane way. I'm going to laugh at it and think, wow, it's amazing. Krishna, he's so amazing. What a cheeky boy. But really we'll be thinking in terms of our mundane experience, because, I know I have a lot of mundane experience. Most of my experience is mundane. And I have grandchildren, and they're small and very cute. And I'm mesmerized by their activities as they toddle around and they laugh and granddad, do this, that. And, it's very captivating, but it's not transcendental. It's material. But it gives me an insight into, just a little insight at least, into Krishna's pastimes and why it is that the Vrajvasis are so captivated by this boy. Because it's more than just the mundane exchange, like with me and my grandchildren. I'm attracted to my grandchildren. Other people's grandchildren, well, I'll take it or leave it, especially if they're a bit annoying. So I'm not so keen. But, because the bodily connection is there. But with Krishna, his attraction is on the transcendental platform. And what does that mean? I understand it means he's attractive to everyone and to all beings, to all creatures. Like, for example, we're not very attracted to a female elephant. It's different. It's a different body, and the elephant's not going to be attracted to us. But the elephant is attracted to Krishna. We're attracted to Krishna. The cats, the dogs, the cockroaches, everything is attracted to Krishna because he's all attractive. And his attraction is not bound by material qualities. It's not a bodily thing like we experience in this world. And the thing is, when we hear about and read Krishna's pastimes, we can only think in terms of our experience, which is all on this bodily platform. So it's a little difficult to comprehend what's going on here. It's very deep and very subtle. I'm as Maharaj was saying, we write books, and I've been trying to do a kind of retelling of the Bhagavatam. I've reached the 10th canto, and then I kind of stopped because I thought, I'm seriously not qualified. But I've done a little bit of it. Whilst I was doing it, I was referencing so many literatures by the acharyas, commenting on the 10th canto. And, they pick out all these nuances of rasa and exchanges between Krishna and his devotees, like Gopal Champu by Jiva Goswami, for example. And numerous other literatures by the Goswamis, where each little thing that Krishna's doing, and what's going through the minds of the Vrajvasis is so profound and very difficult to understand and relate to. So, because if you're at least like myself, still on the bodily platform of life. So here we have some example of that. Krishna in his childhood and performing these very curious activities of going into people's homes and stealing things and then abusing the people in the house. And then if they give him any kind of hard time, urinating on their floor and passing stool. I mean, if a child came and did that in your house, you would be a bit annoyed, But they're not annoyed with Krishna. I mean, they ostensibly express that. This here is a section where the older gopis have come to Mother Yashoda and they're complaining, your boy, he's nothing but trouble. He's always coming and giving us a hard time. And Yashoda is saying, what are you talking about, you nasty women? How could you say things like this about my Krishna? And it all sounds very kind of like, to us, oh, she's annoyed and she's telling them off and everything. But, the depth of rasa that's going on here is quite quite incredible. And as we become more purified and approach that level of Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param, it will start to reveal itself. But as it is now, we can at least enjoy hearing these little pastimes and try to comprehend what's going on. And what is going on here? We're told actually that, why do we exist? And anyone know that? What's our raison d'être? How do you like my French, by the way?
I'm not sure that we do it.
Oh, here's a philosopher. I've wondered that.
It's all a dream, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's a reason why we exist, and that is Krishna's pleasure. And you said so?
To exchange love.
To exchange love. There's a statement in the Vedas, Eko Bahu Syam. What does that mean?
He was one, he became many.
The one becomes many. And why did he do that? To expand. Sorry?
For enjoyment.
For enjoyment. To expand the ocean of bliss. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives the example of us. What's the example he gives to help us comprehend that? Children, yeah. You get married and you have children to expand your bliss. And you discover that it actually expands your anxiety and your struggle for material life. But there's some enjoyment there, right, with the children and everything. That's why people have children. So Krishna's the same. That there was a Sufi saying actually that I heard. I was a hidden gem, and I wanted to be enjoyed. I wanted to be appreciated. So Krishna's kind of, saying that he's aware of his opulence, of his beauty, of his qualities, supreme qualities, and he wants people to enjoy them. He wants us to enjoy them, the jivas to enjoy them. So he's expanded us for that purpose. And this is what's going on here. This is exactly what's going on here. He's demonstrating all these wonderful pastimes so that he gives pleasure to his pure devotees. That's all he wants to do. That's the very purpose of our life, of existence, is to give him pleasure. And by so doing, we give him pleasure by appreciating him, by glorifying him, by understanding him. But to do that is something required on the liberated platform. What's the verse in the Bhagavad Gita that explains that? Which one are you saying? That one is, that you have to be liberated. But in the 4th chapter, there's a verse that begins Janma. Yeah. Evang yo veti tatvataha. So, in order to understand, Janma karma chame divyang evang yo veti tatva dehang punar janma na iti mam eti sarjana. So, what does that mean? It says, one who can understand my pastimes is liberated. So, you have to be liberated. You can turn it on its head. You have to be liberated in order to understand his pastimes. So these are activities of transcendence. So let's have a look at the purport then. What does Prabhupada say? Krishna's business in the neighborhood was not only to steal, but sometimes to pass stolen urine in a neat, clean house. When caught by the master of the house, Krishna would chastise him by saying, "You are a thief." So how does that give pleasure? I was thinking about it. It's like, how old is Krishna here? Is he 3? Must be right. I think in this pastime. Like 3, 4. 3, 4-year-olds can't do anything wrong. Even in your own life, right? Have any of you got small kids? Well, you've had small kids, right? Like my granddaughter now is nearly 4. She can do anything, and it's all cute. I mean, I've got a grandson, he's 1, And it's like whatever he does, everything, everything they do. So it's like that with Krishna. He's 3, and he's, if your child like passes urine somewhere, oh, what are you doing? You naughty boy. You don't get angry with him or anything like that. You just appreciate the leela of your kids. But this is something else. This is Krishna. So we get a little idea of what it's like if we have that experience of being a parent or a grandparent. So that and then Krishna's telling them off. So it's like that happens also. Your granddaughter tells you off, and granddad, you're this, you're that, and you just enjoy that. You just enjoy that little kind of exchange of love, right? So similarly with Krishna, but added to that is the fact that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everything he does is completely perfect, devoid of any ignorance or passion. It's just pure Shuddha Sattva. So we can only really imagine what's going on here, and his devotees also are completely without any bodily conception in these pastimes. That there's this wonderful loving exchange taking place. It's not a mundane thing. And actually, Krishna can't really do anything bad. If you say, well, he's passed stool in someone's house, that's a bad thing to do, is it not? But what is good? What is bad? How do we define that? In this world, what's the definition of good and bad? Anyone have any idea?
What pleases Krishna, what displeases? But from the transcendental.
It's a bit transcendental, isn't it?
You
mean from the mundane?
From any point of view, yeah. From the material point of view, what's good, what's bad? Is there anything good and bad?
From the material point of view, it's bad what is disturbing others in the society.
Disturbing others, yeah. You mean other devotees?
From the material point of view,
yeah.
People in general.
Right.
But don't they usually define good and bad traditionally according to, at least in human society, according to some scriptural religious directive?
Yeah, according to like the Bible or the whatever Quran, or in our case, like the
Vedas. There's so many do's and don'ts for human beings according to their position.
Yeah.
And maybe it's perverted over generations, but the roots.
And so okay, yeah, scripture, and as my wife was saying, the essence of that is to please God, right? What pleases God?
That's from a spiritual level, but I think like he was saying, if you're going to define it strictly by mundane,
Yeah.
what causes violence and disturbance to others?
Yeah.
It depends. Are you going for a transcendental
Yeah.
definition or for a mundane definition?
I'm whatever you.
For example, the Muslims think that according to scripture, you can have intercourse with a 9-year-old girl. From a mundane point of view, that's absolutely vile.
Yeah.
You could say from the Quranic point of view, it's good,
Yeah.
but it depends on your reference.
Yeah.
So our reference is what pleases Krishna.
What pleases Krishna? Yeah.
Mundane is real.
And actually, it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Dvaita Bhadra Bhadra Sakala Saman, that the idea of something being good and something being bad is manodharma, is simply a mental concoction in the material world. There's no good, there's no bad on the material platform. It's like we like something or we don't like it. What I like, you hate. What I hate, you like. Like you were saying about, there's a class of person, a culture where certain behaviors is perfectly okay for them. But from our perspective, it's absolutely vile. And the things that we do that they consider vile, on the mundane platform. But ultimately, where I'm trying to go with this is what you said right in the beginning is it pleasing to God? Or is it displeasing him? Because that is ultimately the definition of good and bad. So there are different scriptures, as Maharaj said, and you mentioned the Quran, And that's, I'm not going to get into that, but we need to understand what is God's will. Maybe it's being presented in a particular scripture, maybe it's not. Maybe it's being presented in, our scriptures in the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, we're pretty sure it is. We all have that faith. So we can connect with God through bona fide Shastra. Unfortunately, today, a lot of the Shastras have been corrupted over the years. So we may not be getting, the right understanding of what pleases God. But the principle is that. And the reason I'm saying this is because we're talking about God here. This is Krishna. So, we want to please him. And by pleasing him, we come closer to him. We develop our loving relationship. And that's the ultimate good, to come closer. So how can Krishna himself do anything bad? Because all he's doing is trying to bring us closer to him in everything he does. And here in this purport, Prabhupada says, the absolute truth being always the same is good in any activities, even so-called immoral activities like stealing, killing, and violence. So he calls that so-called, that they're not actually, in his case at least, immoral. Immoral activities, which from our point of view are abominable. Like he also here gives an example where Krishna is attracting young girls and dancing with them in dead of night, as we know, the rasa dance. So from our point of view, as if we were to do something like that, it's certainly abominable. It's certainly immoral. But from Krishna's point of view, it isn't. Why? Because he's bringing them closer to him. He's bringing them, he's deepening their love and their attraction for him. So that's the ultimate good. Does that make sense? Yeah? But we're not doing that if we have, illicit sex with another person outside of our lawful marriage. We're taking them further away from God. We're causing them to act sinfully, ourselves to act sinfully, and become degraded. So quite the opposite. He says, Prabhu says, Krishna is always pure, and he's always the supreme absolute truth in all activities, even when he's so-called violent. So sometimes he kills, like in his pastimes, he fights with Jarasandha and his armies. It's described how he was killing millions and millions of warriors, creating rivers of blood on the battlefield. So, that looks pretty ghastly and horrible, but again, it's because he's the supreme absolute truth, he's not doing something which is going to harm anyone. He only wants to bring them closer, and in some cases, the only way to do that is to take off their heads and liberate them by that process, especially if they die in front of him, seeing him. So the ultimate good is to be attracted to Krishna. Because when we're attracted to Krishna, what are we not attracted to? Maya. And when we're attracted to Maya, what does that mean? What's the result of that? Suffer. Yeah. Because why? Because we try to enjoy separately from God. And it's not possible. Why isn't it possible?
It's like a fish trying to survive on land. We're not in our element.
We're not in that element.
That's a minute part of
Yeah.
the of God.
As I began by saying, our purpose for existence, our constitutional position is as Krishna's servants, Krishna's lovers. That's what we exist for. That's where our happiness comes from. Somehow or another, we have managed to forget that and descend into this abode of misery. So we have to reverse the situation again and return our attraction to Krishna. So when we do that, we're no longer attracted to Maya, and our suffering diminishes and finally disappears entirely when we awaken our love for the Lord. Immoral means to break God's laws, and everything he does, he sees the big picture. It's like, we may see Krishna like acting in the battle of Kurukshetra, seemingly siding with the Pandavas and being antagonistic towards Duryodhana and the Kauravas. But in both instances, he's acting exactly the same. He's the absolute. So, as the absolute truth, there's no difference in the way he's dealing. And that platform on which he's dealing is to elevate us, to bring us closer to him. Depending how close we already are, he'll act in a certain way. If you're way out there and you don't even want to hear about him, know about him or anything, you hate him, then he'll deal with you in a certain way. But if you're coming closer and you want to love him, then he'll deal with you in a different way. Ye yata mam prapadyate tams tataiva bhajamiyaham. That I reciprocate with everyone according to how they approach me. Even his forms that he manifests, like here, for example, he's manifesting this little boy form. Why is he doing that? Why does he manifest these different forms? Sometimes a little boy, sometimes a warrior, sometimes a fish.
For the pleasure of his devotees?
Say again?
For the pleasure of his devotees.
For the pleasure of devotees. Yeah. There's a verse which eludes me, that's spoken by Lord Brahma, that the Lord appears in varieties of forms simply to reciprocate with the desire of his devotee. So every form he manifests is to reciprocate with some devotee wants to serve him in that way. So he appears in that form in order to allow them to serve him in that way. He has no preference. His preference is the only thing he wants to do is to satisfy his devotee. So, he becomes Vamana to satisfy his great devotee Bali and other devotees in that pastime. And here he's becoming Damodar and Makanchor, these names, because these devotees want to enjoy with him in that way. They're so elevated that they want to care for Krishna as their child. All they care about is Krishna okay? Is he going to be hurt? Is anything going to happen to him? Where is he now? Oh my God! Maybe it's like when you've got little children. Sometimes you get kind of like absorbed in doing something. Suddenly you can't see your kid or your grandkid. You're panicking. You're freaking out. Where are they gone? What's happened? Has someone snatched them? Has anything happened? So you're completely, losing your mind. So that's the level these devotees are on with Krishna. They're not thinking, oh, here's God. He take care of himself. It's okay, no problem. But no. What's happened? Maybe a demon has got him. So that they're so highly elevated. I mean, when Parikshit heard about just the cowboys. When Parikshit heard about the cowherd boys and how they were wrestling with Krishna and climbing on his back and being so familiar with him, laughing and joking and stealing his stuff and tricking him, and Parikshit was like astounded. And who are these boys? How could anyone do something like that? And then Shukadev said, that these boys are my ashtanam, not a gun. Krita punya, that they have performed pious activities for countless lifetimes. Itang satang brahma sukana bucha, that's that verse. Dasyangatanam Naradharakena Maya Sirtane, I forget actually, but it ends with this Kritapunja Punya, that these boys have performed pious activities for thousands and thousands of lifetimes. Not pious activities, the bhakti sukriti, what we're doing now. We may think, when I leave this body, I'll go to Krishna's pastimes. Well, maybe. But actually, if you want to go to this level, then it takes a long, long time to get there. Of serious practice. I mean, our practice now, 16 rounds, kind of Girishnik, Rama, half asleep, and struggling and not always finishing them. I mean, basically what I'm saying is that you have to intensify your sadhana to such a point where it's spot on, And then life after life after life of performing that level of sadhana, deepening it, and then you'll get to this. And then we can get to this. It's not a cheap thing. That's all I'm really trying to say, that, we can expect that by just some kind of very casual practice. So these devotees, let me just get my notes. I'm nearly finished now. Maybe we can discuss this in the last few minutes. Let me just see if I had anything else to say. Where are we now? New Mayapur. Can't find it now. Forgive me. Got so many classes here. So does anyone have any points, questions, comments, or anything on any of the things that I've kind of covered here? Prabhu.
Yeah, of course, my questions, my question connected with my mundane mentality, and but I try to understand which kind of reciprocation devotees got with kurma, for instance, with matsya, how they develop the highest taste, which kind of reciprocation. You cannot run with kurma somewhere and play with cows and so. And it's of course on my understanding, material understanding, but how to understand it actually. Especially we read it before the 10th canto. So you have to realize it. Okay, nice. Let's go further. But I not feel like how it works. Sorry.
How it works. You're saying that, we haven't, maybe we're not self-realized, and you understand that we have to attain that, but in order to appreciate Krishna's pastimes. But you're trying to understand how the devotees are reciprocating with Krishna?
Like Priyavrata with Matsya.
Satyavrata? Satyavrata, right.
Why is the devotee attracted to
A particular form.
How are you going to enjoy the fish? How are you going to enjoy the treasure?
How can you enjoy exchanges? Yeah.
Or please get enjoyment from the pleasing.
Yeah. You're saying so that devotees are attracted to different forms of the Lord, but you can't understand why that is. That what would it be that in Bali's heart that he wanted to enjoy with Vamana, and that other devotees want to enjoy with Krishna in other moods, like Arjuna with Parthasarathi and so on. So you're just asking how that works. Do you have any insight yourself into how that works? What would be your answer? I'm going to learn from you guys. So let him just.
I will probably try to explain in the same way. You know, we've got different levels of devotees. They attract a certain form, like for instance, for Narayana, for Vishnu, for hands, and some of them attracted for particular this, like some attract for Ramachandra, some attract to for Matsya, but particularly in this, with Matsya and Kurma, you've got some trouble to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Did you want to answer? Yeah, it's true. I think. Did you want to answer? Okay.
No, it's just the same question. I was wondering if the fishes species, they get some benefit
Right.
from a Matsya incarnation.
Yeah. I mean, there is one place where Prabhu says Krishna appears in every species of life, right? In one purport. I've never figured that one out. But yeah. I mean, it's what awakens in your heart. You know, it's like a transcendental bhava that everyone has different moods. You know, we're all, I don't know if we've been programmed by Krishna to, you know, I think it's a function of our free will, isn't it? You know, because we have that, we can change it. So it's our choice that we want to serve the Lord in a certain kind of way, and He's ready. Okay, I'll reciprocate with you in that way. I mean, I agree with you. It's hard to understand turtle. You know, I mean, maybe we're not getting it. Maybe that's not one of His Leela. Is that one of His Leela avatars? Go ahead.
I just want to appreciate Prabhu's question. I had a light.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying my light is this. I think I was also going to say something like Kini, but another light that comes to my mind. If you read that incarnation in the context of the pastime, like, was it Satyavrat? No, the name of the king.
Satyavrata, yeah. Vaibhasvata.
Yes, he was in danger of being drowned. I mean, he was in the waters of dissolution, you know, and you have this huge fish who comes to rescue you. And to me, and also similarity with Kurma, the demigods and the demons, they were struggling. No matter how hard they tried to get this, it kept collapsing the mountain. So Kurma comes and helps them. So for me, it's the rasa. We're looking for support and help in life, or we're looking for protection in life from the dangers, very, very imminent dangers. So when the devotees see the Lord coming to his rescue, it's like, oh, thank you, Lord. But in the spiritual world, as far as I understand, they each have their own Vaikuntha planet, and there they are Lord Narayans. They're not manifesting, they're manifesting. But the mood is one of protection, one of support. And I think as neophyte devotees on our way up, that very much attracts our heart. We're all looking for support and protection in this world.
Yeah.
And the Lord as Kurma and as Matsya reciprocates with the devotees on that level.
Mm. So you're saying that those forms, they are eternal, obviously, the Matsya, but they're just performing pastimes in different material universes. But they originate as four-armed Narayan forms in Vaikuntha, and they enjoy pastimes with devotees in their four-armed forms like that.
In Vaikuntha, it's very much one of opulence and
Yeah.
protection. God is
But what's the difference between, say, the Vaikuntha planet where Matsya in his Narayan form lives and Kurma in his Narayan form? You know, is there a different mood? I think that's what where he's going with that. I mean, I see what you're saying. That's true. That's true. What you're saying. It is that they're.
Just as we're reading Bhagavatam, my thought
Yeah.
is reading Bhagavatam, what attracts us to Kurma?
Yeah.
Everything was faith.
Protection.
He comes and supports.
Yeah.
Everything succeeds.
Yeah.
What attracts the devotees that we're studying Bhagavatam?
Yeah.
Matsya. Oh my God, there's certain death.
Yeah.
But Matsya comes and protects us.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking like that. That's what we could maybe.
Yeah.
How our heart could become attracted. The Lord is my shelter. The Lord is
Yeah.
my foundation. The Lord is my.
And he comes up with these incredible ways of saving us. You know, like in that instance, Mount Mundra. Yeah.
Put a very simple material perspective on understanding the relation between the mythical forms of the Lord when he appears in this world as Colonel, Natsu, whatever it may be. That's one thing. But even from a mundane perspective, you mentioned earlier on, you don't particularly feel an attraction for a female elephant. I think that's what you said, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a fact.
It's hard for one to understand the attraction between a cockroach and another cockroach, you know. It's hard for us to understand, even amongst human beings, why one living entity is attracted to another living entity. You know, sometimes, you know, God, they're so horrible person, they're ugly, whatever it may be. But somebody's attracted there. And it has its origins in Krishna. I mean, obviously Krishna also has some desires involved here as well, you know. It's pleasure.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may like to swim. Sometimes you may also like to behave, you know, people who have fancy dress parties, you want to dress up like a fierce lion or some crazy fawn or another. You know, what can we say? It is Krishna, it's Rasa, whether it's reciprocating with his devotees in this material world, and as was just mentioned, form of protection, whatever. But, you know, Krishna's there too, you know, he's not just a machine that reciprocates, he's also got his pleasure in all of these various manifestations or different types of reciprocation. Why some do it? If nobody had an attraction, there was no circumstance for that, you know, reciprocation, then there's no rasa, there's no need, you know. There's definitely. And some devotees, and Prabhupada writes at least, some devotees, they have an eternal relationship even with Lord Shiva. You know, they all have their, you know, different expansions, you could say, of the Lord's energies to fulfill what the Lord has in mind. Unending rasa, unending pleasure.
It's all about pleasure.
So from the material point of view, it's hard for us to understand materially what to speak of spiritually. Why on earth someone's attracted to this person or whatever. Somebody is, you know. And they think the same with you.
So it's
variety.
Variety,
Unlimited varieties.
Good points. Thank you.
All one in one sense.
No, exactly, Any other, Mataji?
Yes, I think the Lord perform all these pastimes and leave some substance so that we get to read, we get to relish what he has done. Like if we take the Kurma avatar, during the churning of the oceans, it is said that he wanted to scratch his back. So he got the Mandara mountain on his back. So the churning was like scratching his back, and he was enjoying in like half sleep. Right? Now even the Matsya, he could gone to someone else, but he went to Priyavrata because Priyavrata was a very pious king. So he wanted to reciprocate in that way. That's why he go to him. Now we take Prahlad Maharaj. Why he came half man, half lion? Just because the boon that Hiranyakashipu has got from Brahmaji, he wanted to fulfill all those plus. He wanted to show that he is from the pillar, because the young Prahlad said, yes, my Lord is everywhere. So in this way, he reciprocates with his devotees. So he comes in different avatars. That's my understanding, Prabhuji.
Thank you. That's it comes to protect his devotees in different forms. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskrita. And I'll come to you now. You mentioned a really good point in the beginning as well, that he demonstrates these pastimes so that we can read, relish, and hear and chant about them. That's the main thing. Like this, you know, he delivers his devotees, and he's delivering them by manifesting his pastimes, so that we can hear and chant about him, and then experience that. We can actually enter into those pastimes by hearing and chanting. That's the whole point of the Bhagavatam.
That's wonderful. But yesterday we also just heard, when we discussed, how by hearing these pastimes, most of the forms of the Lord we're seeing in the first 9 cantos. In the 10th canto, of course, this is Samabonam, is the essential, highest, whatever you want to call it. But you also become purified. even in the 10th canto, we're hearing about Krishna's mischievous pastimes of
Yeah.
theft or
Yeah.
whatever it is, playful thing. And they purify us, and the pastimes, whatever they may be, of the Sringadev or whatever the reason for his coming,
Yeah.
it purifies us of the,
Yeah.
whatever negativity there, envy or lust or theft, tendency to think that anything is anything but Krishna's.
Yeah.
I mean, theft is to think anything exists separate from Krishna. Once
Right.
it purifies us of all these misconceptions or that which doesn't bring us closer, as you said, closer to Krishna or bring pleasure to Krishna.
Yeah.
Purifies us of them. You've got to become purified, otherwise, as you said, we'll never understand the 10th canto.
Yeah.
Mythology or funny stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's another side of protection, is the purification to
Purifying.
protect us from the mundane perspective, to protect us from having the mundane perspective
Right.
of how we visualize or relate with Krishna's pastime.
Sure.
So you can see that also, even for us when, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj worshipped Kurmadev.
Yeah.
That was at least up to a certain point in his life he was worshipping Kurmadev.
Yeah.
You know, this
That's
whatever
right.
reason that would be.
Yeah. 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 Purifying its fact. Yeah. As we go through it, even like it says that the 10th canto, if you want to get free of sex life, you should hear about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, right?
All these other natas,
Yeah.
you cannot
Yeah.
approach Krishna will.
That's right.
You can hear about it, but it will remain. It
Yeah.
won't have that effect.
Yeah. Anyone else? Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to pick up on this one, Sushilan's point.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick up on Mataji's point that when we hear about these, we may not necessarily, I mean, I don't know if she meant it, but
Yeah.
we get purified by hearing about it. And I think it really relates to the point I was trying to make
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
That I may hear about karma. Of course, the Lord is taking transcendental pleasures. Maharaj says he's got something in it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing I take is that something in my situation may seem impossible, frustrating, no matter how hard I try.
Yeah.
Because that's what was happening with the demigods and the demons. No matter how hard they tried, everything was failing. But karma comes and everything succeeds. So when I read the Bhagavatam, I'm thinking, wow, Krishna can bring success even in an impossible situation. So by hearing the pastime, I may not be attracted to necessarily turtle, but I'm attracted to what I'm hearing, what I'm getting from it, the message that's coming to me. So through that hearing, I'm also getting hopefully.
Yeah, so the pastimes themselves are attractive. You know, you hear about, like, you know, how Vamana or like the...
They relate to our own struggles.
Yeah.
The first 9
Yeah.
cantos are related to our struggles.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
very fantastical ways.
Yeah.
But Krishna can say something fantastic like that.
Yeah.
Deal with my little problems.
Yeah, yeah. Incredible. Mandakini, what's it?
Just to carry on the reflection of Maharaj,
Yeah.
Krishna exhibited very mischievous activities.
Yeah.
We call it mischievous because he's a child,
Yeah.
but if it was a big man, it could be abominable. But still, these activities are so pure that they purify us by hearing this pastime.
Right.
He's stealing, it's agreed, he's dancing with the gopis, it could be materially seen as lost, as Nishringadev, he's exhibited anger. So we get rid of all this anartha just by hearing about them. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we get purified, yeah. As long as we hear from the right person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also, let's face it, in this world, I used to have a pet tortoise.
Me too.
Yeah, there you go. So we're attracted, in the reflection, of course it's mundane, but
Yeah.
its attractions are not, they're not like, completely
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Attracted to a fish. Many in my family had fish bowls, we had fishes
Yeah.
bowls. We had, all kinds of things.
Cats, dogs.
We go to the
Hamsters.
zoo to see lions, and we don't
Yeah.
necessarily keep them at home. And you're attracted. Lions are very attracted. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Horses. We have all these. This is there
Krishna's creation.
Krishna's creation. He enjoys it.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. So we've reached 9 o'clock, so shall we pause there?
Hare Krishna.
Jai, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare
Yes, I've already mentioned it to Parasati, and it's on its way. And I think next year or something, somebody's going to. It's really bad. But this is an unusual drum. It's not an ordinary one. It's not like the ordinary when you buy it. It's complicated. I would have thought they would come up with a simple form, and it is really complicated drum. But they have the fountain, of course, over there.